and then I have a question.
The premise, and I've read your articles, and as I said, there's no question mechanically you could do it if the public wanted to do it. You can amend the Constitution to create the structure. But the premise of your argument is that somehow state government has been more rational and more seasoned and reasonable over the last 50 years than the federal government.
I don't necessarily believe that,
well,
Eliot.
but that is why you're giving this huge additional power to state legislatures.
I'm skeptical of government, whether it's state government or federal government. We have federal control of state governments under the 14th Amendment and other provisions. That already exists. I'm all for it. What we don't have is any constraint on federal government. So where are you going to reside the constraint if the courts won't do it?
Let's bring this down to a specific situation. Let's take perhaps the civil rights laws in the mid-1960s. Would you have wanted state legislatures, and that was an incredibly difficult political moment, and I hope you would agree those were good laws that have moved the freedom forward.
Absolutely.
Would you have wanted states, and it was intensely unpopular, to be able to override that and take it back?
It was only unpopular amongst a very small number of states, never anything close to amounting to two-thirds of the states.
Oh, I disagree with you.
Oh, it had overwhelming bipartisan support by both Republicans and Democrats. It was only the Southern Democrats that didn't like that idea.
So, yeah, what is Spitzer talking about with the...
Cal, you forgot to introduce part 3. Welcome to part 3 of
yes,
this episode.
3.
Go ahead. Sorry.
All right, so what are the facts about the Civil Rights Act that Spitzer's bringing up? Were they in danger?
Spitzer thinks that, you know, the majority of the country was against it. Barnett's absolutely right. It never had less than 70% support, you know, in both houses, both the Senate and House of Representatives. And the majorities in 11 states were against it, and they were all from the South. That's 11 out of, remember, 50 states, because we have 50 states in this country.
Right. That's nowhere close to 34.
No, not at all.
There's no way this could have been repealed under this amendment, would it?
No, not really. Unless there was a drastic change, maybe they imported a bunch of people from somewhere else to kind of fill in, to elect different representatives, which later on maybe would... Never mind, I'm sorry. That's like totally unrelated, and it would take me like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to explain what I was thinking about, so anyway.
Anyway, so Spitzer may just plain not know the numbers on this that we actually decided to check out. But maybe he's got another issue with it, and let's look at the next clip, and we'll see if we can figure out exactly what his problem is here.
Yeah.
But bills like that would then be subject to this second look, where when we have done things that were transformative, that often were, and I disagree about the politics of the moment in the 60s, put that aside, when we have done the things that were transformative, the politics of the states were very, very difficult. Every one of them, from the New Deal to the Civil Rights Act, to, in fact, President Reagan's tax rollbacks, which you probably supported, and I don't question that right now, those all would have been subject to a second look, so the capacity of the government to be governed, for the country to be governed, would have been challenged.
So it just sounds to me like maybe Spitzer's a little bit of an elitist here?
Just a little bit. He doesn't trust the average man, the common man, to be able to decide for himself. And
all those forward-thinking people in the ivory towers need to make all the laws, and without them overriding the wishes of us unintelligent people, uneducated people,
us unwashed masses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then our country wouldn't be
us
able to move forward.
Ford-driving lowlifes. All right. I don't like. I'm not a big Ford fan, even though I drive one. But that's totally a different subject.
This is true.
Yeah.
All right, so we got one more clip.
It did start this morning. It was 0 degrees out when I started it. It took about 10 seconds of cranking, but it fired.
He
Barely.
got to our studios here, so it's not good.
I was about ready to make a phone call. All right.
All right, so we got one more clip to show you here to round out this video.
A second look when 34 state legislatures that are bicameral, so you're talking about 68 state legislatures between the Senate, the upper house and lower house get together, and it's going to be a red state, blue state. You can't get to 2/3 of the states without having it be red state and blue states. But there are things that the federal government does that interfere with the internal operations of the states. Those aren't particularly popular. There's things that may be done accidentally, inadvertently as part of big bills, and states would have an opportunity to, for example, fight back against unfunded mandates. That's not the kind of thing that the general public is all that riled up about, but state legislators are concerned about.
All right, so
This can't be strictly a partisan tool if what Barnett's saying is true. It's 34 states. I don't think that there's that many of any red state or any blue state, so it's going to have to be bipartisan, which is what everybody is, of course, obsessed with in Washington right now. So who wouldn't want to go along with that? I mean, it would have to be a pretty bad law, wouldn't it?
well, yeah, it's the thing. It wouldn't. As you said before, it's not partisan. Some people might be concerned that this would be used by the left or the right to, you know, cut down one law here, and they come back and squabbling back and forth. And yeah, it's not. So if it's bipartisan,
Right. You need a pretty good consensus. So in other words, it has to. It means that pretty much everybody has to think it's a pretty bad idea.
yeah, it's got to be pretty bad.
So what's your conclusion on this amendment? What do you think?
My conclusion: it's a good idea. We should do it. I think we should. I think it's. I mean, and I'm not really, you know, an extremist or anything either. Neither is Barnett. I mean, heck, if anybody would be considered an extremist, it would be Spitzer. But you know,
well,
and to the left, you know, as far as his
it's
poor knowledge.
And we're gonna have to blame his extremism on that.
Well, he's
the
from
fact
New York.
that he
What do
can't.
you expect? Okay, I didn't mean to offend anybody from New York, but
No, actually, all of you probably remember the whole deal with Spitzer as governor of New York, so you're probably not all too angry.
they've all got their supporters. Kwame still has support in Detroit, surprisingly. Yeah,
All right,
by
that
a few
was
people. Anyway,
that's getting off track.
yeah, that's a little bit off topic, but
Next week, no.
yeah,
What's up with Kwame Kilpatrick?
his new cellmate. No, anyway,
So-
what we wanted to talk about is basically that we both think that this is a good way to help curb what I feel, and I think many people feel, as runaway federal power. It's a way for the states to try to level the playing field with the federal government as far as having a check on federal power. You know, and I think since obviously the 17th Amendment, you know, there's no way that could be repealed because people just aren't going to give up their voting, you know, rights for one area. And so this is a good compromise the way I see it. If you want to have some sort of a check.
Right, this actually might even be a better check on it than we had before. Who knows? It might not.
Yeah.
But it is a check. I don't think if it is ineffective, it's certainly not going to make us any worse off than we were. So.
Yeah, it's not going to really hurt us any worse than we already are now.
And to get this even brought up for a vote, as far as amending the Constitution in this way, we actually need 2/3 of the U.S. Congress or 2/3 of the states to even bring it up for a vote. So again, it would have to be
Pretty darn popular for
Yeah.
that too.
So don't
That
worry,
to
it's
the
not
floor.
going to happen overnight when
Yeah.
we're not looking.
Although that'd be cool.
That's
not
what.
It'd be nice. Wake up tomorrow morning, I'd be like, oh, make my day. Anyway, sorry.
So look for that tomorrow on Yahoo News or whatever when you turn on your
Yahoo
computers.
News, Modern Times with Cal and Mike. We'll be on top of that.
On Monday morning.
Sure.
Well, if it happens, that'll be our show for next week.
Yep.
So tune in to see if that's what happened.
All right. This is the end of this episode.
It is. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
Oh, come look at the birds.